Yes. All right. And we are live. Welcome to the stage of greatness. I'm Danielle Francine, and I'm here with my good friend, David Price. We've been friends for quite a while since high school. We've known each other, worked together, played together, all of the things. And so I wanted to bring Dave on because Dave has had an amazing transformation, I want to say, in his life and really like every area of his life. So, I want to bring to all of you guys his experience and tools so that if this is the type of shift that you're looking for, that you have tools to implement to move you in that direction. So, welcome, Dave. Thanks for being here with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. I appreciate being here. I appreciate you asking me. You're an absolute superstar. You're a superstar in every single thing you do, and super pumped to sit down and talk with you. It's been a while. We haven't talked in a while, so why not do it on camera?
Yes, exactly, exactly. And I didn't want to spill all the beans in your intro about like where you are because I want, I want it to unfold in the story. Um, but yeah, the feeling is mutual. You're a fucking rock star. Like Dave and I worked together for was it a year? Was
Not
it
long enough. Whatever it was, it wasn't long enough, and I take full responsibility for that.
but in really the reason why I came to work with you, and we'll kind of get more into that in a little bit, was really because of you. Like you inspired me. I saw what you were doing and your mindset and your energy, right? To be in your energy, to be in your presence, to be mentored by you. They say you want to surround yourself with people that are leveled up from you, right? Surround yourself with greatness. And I saw you, I was like, okay, I need to be surrounded by Dave.
Actually, I appreciate you. I mean, you're great as well. Yeah, remember I used to send you those. Was it text messages? I would send you periodically every once in a while.
Are you
the
ready?
the attention grabbers.
Yeah, were they screenshots of your bank account?
Yeah, yeah. Look what's happening. Look what you're missing out on.
Yes,
So let's
yes.
sign up for this. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny.
So
Like I don't typically do that, but again, like I knew you're a freaking rock star, so I was just like, dude, I need this girl on my team. I need her to see what's going on. I think a lot of people, they just don't people don't like understand like the day to day or what they could do, or they disqualify themselves, or they don't understand, or like social media is such a, like, everyone could be a rock star on social media, right? So it's screenshotting your bank account deposits and sending it definitely gets you a little bit more truth in there, right?
absolutely. Yeah. It's hard to fake a screenshot of a bank account. It's a lot of effort if you do.
Yes.
But yeah, so let's let everyone in on what we are talking about. So tell us, or tell me, tell them, tell everyone a little bit about what it is that you do specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I teach people, one, how to get an insurance license is the first thing, and then I teach them how to sell insurance from home, 100% on the phone. So I have virtual insurance agents, a virtual insurance agency. I have people all over the place. I've got some agents in Costa Rica, had one in the Philippines, mostly stateside, obviously, and I teach them how to sell insurance. We got people calling our national TV commercials looking for insurance. I just connect them with someone that can sell us insurance, and they get to make pretty good money doing it, and they get to work when they want, as much as they want, as little as they want, and really make as much as they want as well. And then the goal is to help them build a virtual insurance agency after that. Once they know how to sell insurance, and if they want to, I don't make it or push them, but if they want to, I want to show them how to create a business of freedom. Where they can create a passive income. I've been able to create a six-figure a month passive income, and I don't have to really do anything for that money to keep rolling in, and it's definitely given me a lot of freedom, and I believe everyone else deserves the same freedom. They just have to put the steps in place and align themselves with the right people.
Yes, that's amazing. And that was going to be my next question. Like, where are you now? Like, and what is that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with not too much. Single mom, we had everything we needed, but we didn't have a lot of the extras that some people might have had around us. And I'm very grateful for it because it made me a warrior and it taught me a lot of things. But my life's definitely a lot different now. Like I said, I make over $100,000 every single month, and that number continues to grow, hoping to be at 200,000 a month. And it's just like I said, it's passive income, so it gives me a lot of freedom to do a lot of things I wasn't able to do before, and spend more time with family, more time with friends, more time helping people. Definitely been traveling quite a bit, so and I spend a lot of time looking for more people as well to show them the same exact thing. So it's definitely been great. My income's basically either raised 50% to 100% every year I got my insurance license, which is pretty amazing. So we just had our best week ever. It's February 3rd, right? So we just finished the first month of the new year. So I am really going to work hard and see if I could figure out how to double my income again. But more importantly, I have a lot of people making really good income that work with me that got licensed with me. Bianca made $360,000 last year, which is insane. Being a single mom, two babies, I think it was her third full year as an insurance agent. So that stuff's really cool because that's life changing for her children and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And just that, like the financial freedom is like not having to worry about money. Like, can I do this? Can I buy my kids this? Can I go here? Can I have this experience? Go that to not, I mean, everyday people, like that's the majority of their thoughts. Probably like 80% of the day, money, because they don't have it. you
Yeah.
know for you to have that and for you to show others how to achieve that, I mean, number one, it's life changing for them, but also I can imagine the feeling and the fulfillment that you get seeing these people create that for themselves with your guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. Money's always been a big deal to me, right? We all need it to live, and when you don't have a lot of it, it's something that you really focus on, and it's something that you obsess over. And when you're paid every day, and you literally don't have to think about money or how your bills, all your bills are on auto pay, and you're able to pay your credit cards off weekly, and you really don't have to do that. Then like you said, it's like 80% of your thought process like just frees up for all these other things, right? That you didn't realize. Like now all of a sudden you have all this other time and mental energy and stuff to really focus on stuff that does matter, right? And take money out of the equation. And it's really amazing on the how much it just opens up things for you. So yeah, it's definitely been great.
Mm-hmm. And so how long have you been in this game?
So yeah, so I just finished my fourth full year. I actually got my license in May of 2018. So the beautiful thing is I'm still a baby in this industry. I've been getting a lot of DMs lately. Had a guy offering to introduce me to someone to buy my business just a little while ago. I told him I had no interest in walking at this point.
Yes.
But yeah, it's fun, but I consider myself a toddler still. I still feel like I don't even know what the heck I'm doing, which is really cool.
That's such a great place to be, though, because all of the growth that's still ahead of you, right? And you've grown so much already.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I just really optimistic. That person told me they've been in it at 11 years, and like I'm thinking in my head, like, man, I can't wait to see what 11 years looks like, right? I'm thinking really nice, right? Really nice.
Yeah.
I was watching
Right.
Instagram yesterday. It was John Travolta, and it was showing his mansion with his airport at his house. Right, he had like an airport house, and he's got like huge plane. And I know a little bit about private planes, and I'm looking at that, and it's got to be like ridiculous amount of money, like per hour to move that thing around. I'm wondering, like, just him, like, why does he have such a huge plane? But like that's money right there. So yeah, that I can imagine myself in that. Like those are the things I like kind of chase, and like whether I get there or not, as long as I'm like chasing and working to get there, I'm still winning.
Mhm. Yes. And that's such a big part of it, I believe anyway, is the mindset. right? Which I do want to spend a little bit of time on the mindset. But first, before we go there, I want you to, if you're open to sharing, a little bit about like what your past has been like. Because I feel that, you look at all of these super successful people and you're like, wow, must be nice. They probably have always had that. Or like they got really lucky that just fell into their lap. Or like, oh, well, maybe I'll just find the dream job and I'll make all that money. But really, I mean, that's typically not what happens for most people. Right. So I feel that people hearing where you came from, what you've been through to get to where you are now is a huge, big, important piece of this story.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to do the same thing. I used to see people successful, and I used to, they got lucky, they fell into it, they knew the right people. Used to think of all these different things, and you know, then all of a sudden, I got to that point, and the biggest thing is letting people realize that, one, like I said, I grew up, I was with a single mom, with two kids, so we definitely, grew up in the projects, lived in homeless shelters before. So, things got better throughout the years, but never had a real lot. And then barely graduated high school. I think the only really real reason I graduated high school is because I was a decent wrestler. So that helped me out, to get through high school. Didn't go straight to college. End up, with a drug addiction. End up struggling with drugs. I started in high school, and then I actually joined the army to try to escape a drug addiction, and spent 4 years in the army, and that didn't really solve or cure anything. And struggled with the drug addiction for years. Lost pretty much every job I've ever had. Been bankrupt once. Almost was bankrupt the second time. And it wasn't until maybe my mid 30s that I realized I had an issue with drugs, and I got some help, went to a 12-step program. And at that time, I didn't own a car. I didn't have a place to live. I was sleeping on people's couches, and I had nothing, bunch of debt, and life was definitely really hard and really, really uncomfortable. And I just wanted to work on, my addiction issues. And I spent a lot of time, not worrying about money, not worrying about anything else, and just trying to get my head straight and really get my spirit straight, and I think the addiction stemmed from just having like a hole that needed to be filled all the time. And I just knew to fill it with drugs and to numb myself. But I eventually got clean, and lucky I've been able to stay clean. July will make 10 years, God willing. No alcohol or drugs in my body. And just slowly, I remember my first job when I got clean was I wanted to work offshore on oil rigs, and I literally took a job cleaning toilets and washing dishes so I could get my foot out there. And it was for minimum wage, which was $7.25 an hour. Again, I didn't own a car, so someone had to like bring me to the port so I could get on the boat and go out to the oil rig, and I'd go out for a couple of weeks at a time, try to stay out as much as I can because I just wanted to try to make some money and stuff. And then that job ended. I repoed cars for a little bit. I took a job in Chicago for a little bit. That ended, and just really bounced from job to job. Started a business in construction and was doing real well with that. And then my partner became, started having issues with meth, and got all my employees, hooked on meth, or maybe not hooked on meth, but did meth with them. I don't know if it was his fault that they did meth, but at that time I didn't know what to do. It was a company apartment we were staying in. It was paying my truck note and paying all my bills. And I just knew where drugs led. And I just literally walked away from my own business at that point with nothing else pending. And I feel like God really took care of me at that point, and ended up, in a better opportunity. I ended up going to Puerto Rico, doing emergency power restoration there after Hurricane Maria, and then eventually got my insurance license. Actually worked on getting my insurance license towards the end of that. And then even with my insurance license, it was a brand new industry. I knew nothing about it. I started on the very bottom on an 80% commission. We don't even start people that low anymore. We start people at a 90% commission now. and was just learning a whole new business. And, almost quit 6 months into it. My first 6 months, I started in May. I made my 1099 was like $30,000 my first year, which was about half the year. And it was like, dude, this is crazy. I'm working for peanuts. I remember saying that I'll be making more money working at McDonald's at time and a half for the amount of hours I'm putting in, right? I was just so not happy with this new industry that I decided I was going to make millions in, and realized it was 6 months in, and I can't even say that I even tried at that point, right? You can't start something and quit after 6 months. And I realized if anything was wrong was my own mindset. And I stopped looking at other things as being the problem, and I started looking at myself being the problem. And over the next 2.5 years, I made $970,000. So, which ended up getting me right at $1 million in deposits in 3 years of having my insurance license. And then the next 12 months, I made $1 million, right? Which was really cool. So it took me 3 years to make my first, then another 12 months to make my second. But I could easily quit. I could easily went the other way, but and a lot of people do, and it sucks when you watch them, right? You're like, man, this person's so successful. This person doesn't see their future, and they quit before they really start seeing it, and like, oh wow, and understand like how successful they could be.
Yeah. Well, and so just to kind of backtrack a little bit, when you were in Puerto Rico and you were doing the storm work, you were making really good money there, right?
Yeah. So I made the least amount I made in a week, like per the contract I was on, was $5,000. So a bad month would be 20,000. So I typically made over 20. Well, I always made over $20,000 a week. When it slowed down, I was at the minimum, which was, like I said, 5,000 a week. So yeah, so I made well over $200,000 in 6 months, and then I got my insurance license and made $30,000 in 6 months. And then Hurricane Michael happened, and that was the last time I did storm work. And I went out there for 3 weeks, and I made $30,000 in 3 weeks. So I was doing working in insurance. I went out there for 3 weeks, and I made the same amount of money as I did in basically six months. So
So
and what's
even
that?
even that, like, so what I see a lot is, and I see it with so many people, and you probably see it too. You're making an amazing amount of money, and then you step into this other role to start a new career, and you have to build up. So it's like you said, the mindset. You're like, I had to take a look at myself and my mindset, and that was really the turning point, right? Where most people are like, nope, I'm out. I'm gonna go find something else where I make money right away.
Yeah, it's funny because after Hurricane Michael, I went out there and did emergency power restoration, which typically that's a shorter time of how long that lasts, because once the power comes back, you're out of work. But there is still a ton of work there. And I had all kinds of contractors calling me up and said, hey, we're going to work. We're going to go work this area. There's a ton of money to be made. And I thought about doing it. And what I had to remember is I liked that business. I made great money, but I was looking for something that was going to give me the ability to basically live the life where I can do what I want, when I want, however I want. And I knew that wasn't it, because there's just too many moving parts. It was too much human dependence on humans. If you hire somebody to go do a job and they don't finish it, like, that's on you, right? And that's a big deal with storm work. So I was like, listen, I had to stop thinking about like where I'm at today and think about like where I'm going. And a lot of people make so many decisions based off right now. I think about like a doctor, right? Like, to be a doctor, like, you needed to like plan that like when you're a child, right? Because you have to do good in high school, right? You have to do good in college. You get to medical school. You can't just decide, at 30 years old, I want to be a doctor and expect to be a doctor. I think you have a really good time. Like, you have to make that decision, and like think about all the money and the time and the studying before they actually become a doctor, and like the foresight for it, right? And the money, right? The loans, they have to pay, the debt at the end.
Yeah.
But so many people, they're thinking about like right now. They're not thinking about like where they could get to.
Hmm. Yeah. So would you say, like, well, actually, let me ask you this. Did you have if you think back, like a specific moment where you made a decision or you had that shift to where maybe you were like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. And like, no, I'm totally in this And the reason why I'm asking that is I remember you telling me this story repeatedly. Like, I was in my room on the floor, like kneeling, crying, praying to God because I was so uncomfortable.
Jeez, I didn't know that you got uncomfortable. Uh,
Me? No, you
yeah.
told me the story.
Oh, me, yes. I thought you were saying, I was like, that's not you. That's me. I'm the baby on this
Oh,
thing, not you.
no, I do that too.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. The first thing is I got my insurance license to build a business. And what was happening is I was able to write business, but every time I hired somebody, they weren't writing business. I'm like, dude, what is going on here? And it was now what I know now is just because they didn't commit, right? It's hard to find people to commit. I put a TikTok out the other day. Success is easy. All you have to do is commit, right? Winning's easy. All you have to do is make it a priority. But the
Mm.
problem is people don't make winning a priority and people don't commit, right? So that's why so many people aren't successful, but they don't blame it on themselves. They blame it on everything else. So I'm hiring these people and they just didn't want to go to work. I'm like, dude, how am I going to build a business if I can't get anyone else to sell insurance? The goal wasn't for me to be an agent, it's for me to build a business. And then I hired Jen. And Jen just came out like a freaking steamroller. She made over 1,000 applications her first year, made $170,000, and she was just an animal. So like as soon as I seen someone else could do it, I was like, all right, cool. If one person can do it, another one can. I just need to find that person, right? So that opened my eyes, and that made me realize, okay, I could do this, right? Once I had one good product, I'm like, I can do this. But definitely even through that, right, there's still ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur since I've known you basically. And, you see a lot of people making a lot of money and you having a lot of success, and I want to be there now. Right. So, and I remember one day it just like hit me and I was just like, dude, every issue I'm having right now is just me not being patient. Like I'm just
Mm.
not being patient. Like I want to be a millionaire like right now. And like, dude, I've only been doing this for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like who the heck do I think I am? And at that point is I got on my knees and I prayed for patience. And I probably haven't been on my knees and prayed for, I think the last time I did that was maybe like 10 years or 9 years ago when I quit smoking. So that's how I quit smoking. I prayed, God, please take the desire to smoke away. I never smoked again after that. So I saved that. I saved those special requests for when I know I really need it.
You got
And
your three prayer wishes.
the next time was definitely for for patience. So I got on my knees. I prayed for some patience, and things definitely got smoother. And you just got to go with it, right? You just got to go through the work. A lot of times people don't realize like what success actually looks like. They think they're not having success, but they really are, right? And that's definitely what I see a lot of people do.
So, would you go a little bit deeper into that? Like people think that they're not having success, but from what you see on the outside, you do see success.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
yeah, like I said, you see somebody and especially someone that just gets started. Again, people want everything to be a get rich quick, right? They want a lottery ticket. They just want to be instantly successful, and they compare themselves to the people having success. Like I said, Bianca. I mean, she's so successful, and she's so great on the phone. And you see like a new agent come in, and they're just like, man, I can never be like Bianca. I was like, no, you can. You just have to get your 10,000 hours, right? It takes about 4 years to get your 10,000 hours. Bianca's got her 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
You got about two. So, like give it some time and you will be that successful. And people don't realize that. The biggest thing with sales, what I notice is, do you play the guitar by any chance, Danielle?
I took lessons for a
You
minute.
took lessons? Okay, perfect. Right. So like if I wanted to play the guitar, I know like there's a learning curve,
Mhm.
right? I'm not going to be like all upset if I pick up a guitar and don't know how to play it.
Mhm.
Right? Because I know, like, I'm realistic. People are realistic. They know they need to take lessons. They need the instructor. They got to put some hours in. But everyone thinks they can sell just because they can talk,
Right.
and they don't. You know what I mean? So they get confused. Like it's like, no, like why do you think you know how to sell? Just because you're talking, like you're missing the subtle things that you have to say. You're missing gathering information. You're missing how to deal with objections. You're missing all these things, right? You don't even know what you're looking at. Just like if I gave you the guitar and you know nothing about a guitar or music, you have no idea what you're doing. But you
Right.
understand that you don't know then. But like with sales, you think you're supposed to. So let's give it some time. Let's get some lessons.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely a skill. I mean, I remember when, I first started and I was like, "Okay, well, I've been in sales before, like many, many positions. I could do this." And it was nothing like I had ever done before. And same thing. I was like, "Okay, why isn't this happening like that?" And then, once it happened, the momentum, like riding the momentum of that. And I feel like maybe that's something that happened with you once Jen came on, and then you saw that and it was like, okay, here we go. And then it just like kept going and going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I mean, once, like I said, once I've seen it, and then it like builds your confidence too, right? So, just like you, like when you're like, oh, I can't sell, and then all of a sudden you close the deal, like, oh, okay, I can do this,
Yeah.
right? So now you have a little bit more confidence with the person you're on the phone with, and the same thing when I'm mentoring and hiring agents. Like right now, I have like so many success stories, right? I've mentored and coached so many people that make six figures, right? And these are people that never made $2,000 a month before. So like I know all the common things that I have to tell them, right? I know what problems they're going to have. I know the solutions, right? I know everything because I have all the experience with it. So it makes it simple because you have the experience, right? Just like the grandmother, right? She just knows all these things that we just don't know yet, right? Because she's got another 40 years on us.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So once you have the experience and you go through it and you have some real success stories, and then like the confidence, like you just know where you're going. Like when you drive through your neighborhood, like you don't need a map, like this, that, there might be a kid outside because there's always a kid playing in that yard.
Mhm.
Like you know your area. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. 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 I love that. So, like looking back from like when you were job hopping and just like trying to really, it sounds like you were trying to find your way. Your mindset then, I mean, first, did you ever imagine that you would be where you are now?
I definitely wanted it, but I had no idea how.
Mm.
It's I was listening to something recently and they were talking about like somebody who's working a job. And this was me, right? I was in the corporate America deal for a while. And when you work at a job, you're like hoping for a raise, right? And like, dude, a $5,000 a year raise isn't going to change your life. $10,000 a year raise isn't going to change your life, right? Until you start figuring out how get money to come in when you're sleeping, that's the only way your life's going to drastically change. I mean, literally, if your income doubled, like, yeah, it might feel a little different, but nothing in your life's really drastically going to change. And so I'm thinking I'm going to move up in corporate America. I'm going to get up to where I'm making $100,000 a year. And like you're thinking that's the spot, and you start finding out like that's really not going to give you the freedom that I feel like everyone deserves, right? There's no reason we're in it like America. There's so many opportunities to do what you want, how you want. So I think it's a big deal, but we tend to we just don't know. I think that's the biggest thing. Like we're not exposed to these different things. Like I always heard the insurance industry was a great industry to be in. I had no idea how to get involved. I thought I like disqualify myself. I thought you need a 4-year degree. I thought you need an in because even if I had a 4-year degree, send resumes, you never get interviews, and then you get an interview and you're interviewing against all these people way more qualified than you. So I thought it was an industry I could never get in. And when I realized you do a little 20-hour course, or Florida, a 40-hour course, and you have your insurance license within 3 weeks. And basically anyone's willing to hire you at that point. And it's just a matter of finding a really good company. It blows me away. I say I wish I had it when I was younger, but I definitely would have messed that all up too, right? Because
Yeah.
the ego and stuff like that. I think my drug addiction was actually a blessing because it taught me a lot about myself and about ego and being coachable and like learning and open to just receiving stuff from people as
Mhm.
far as knowledge.
Absolutely. And I mean, really, and I believe everything happens in divine timing. And everything is always a stepping stone to the next place on our path, and it's always leading us to our greatest version of ourselves, right? We're consistently evolving. So all of those things that you did go through, your drug addiction, your being homeless, like you had to go through all of those things to experience that, to get the lessons from that, to continue hopping, right? And then get to where you are now. Right? If you didn't have all of those lessons once you stepped into the insurance industry, you may have very well been one of those people that were like, 30 grand, I'm out. Nope, bye.
Absolutely, man. You know, another thing I want to mention is I stopped looking at like things happening to me to things are
Mhm.
happening for me. You know, and I think that's a big thing. You know, I looked at my life as this, I was a victim, or why don't I have this, or why don't I have that? Then I started really, now I look at like everything that's bad in my life, like that's an opportunity. Like one way or another, if something's happening to me, it's an opportunity for something else. And if you look like an entrepreneur, like, you know, entrepreneurs find problems and they build businesses around it, right? They turn problems into opportunities, and that's what an entrepreneur should do. So somebody has a problem in their life, there's a way to turn that into an opportunity. You just got to think outside the box.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite sayings. I say that probably weekly, right? It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And like for me, and I'm sure you've probably done this too, like if I look back on every part of my life where I went through like extreme contrast or like struggle or heartbreak or failure, whatever it was, in that moment, we're always like, why is this happening? And now looking back, it's like, oh, okay, I see exactly why that happened because it led me here. If that wouldn't have happened, I would have stayed on that path and who knows where I'd be.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Everything happens for a reason. And I truly believe that. And I mean, I can map out some craziness in my life, and how, you know, I came back from Puerto Rico, and the day I came back, I took my insurance test, and then the day after that, I did my fingerprinting, and then I just randomly completely forgot, but I had hotel booked for the weekend in Panama City that I did a year prior, and it ended up being that same exact date. Like it was a coincidence. So I went there for the weekend, and then like that Sunday or Monday, whenever that was over, my license came in. And that was when I was supposed to go down to Miami and get some training. So like it would just all happened exactly like it was supposed to. It was really crazy. And then even before that, I was in New Jersey when I got the call to go to Puerto Rico, and they're like, you know, you had to be in Jacksonville with your truck at a certain time, and it was like exactly the time I was flying back to New Orleans. I had like exactly enough time to get there. Like it was just all perfect. It was really crazy how it happened.
Right? It's like God, the universe, whatever you believe in, source,
Thank
like
you,
lined everything up, right? Like this is gonna happen and he can just flow right through it. You're
dude.
good.
It was great. And it started, like I said, when I walked away from that company. Like I walked away from that company, and then like there's a few things, you know, that happened even before that, and it was definitely like, okay, cool, thank you, man, thank you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about mindset because I think that that is a huge thing for you. Do you have like a morning practice or do you have certain things that you do to like set yourself up for the day?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny you asked that. Someone just asked me to coach weekly on mindset on a pretty big Facebook group. But when I told you I was really struggling with the insurance industry, when I was second guessing everything, and I realized my mindset was the issue, right? I had one realized I got to give it a shot, and 6 months isn't giving it a shot. I figure at least a year, but realistically, I mean, people go to college for 4 years, right? High school's 4 years, so 4 years you become a master. So I think if you're really trying something, 4 years is probably about how much time you need to put in. But what I was doing at that time to make sure my mindset was right, as soon as I woke up, I was putting on some motivational YouTube videos. And like it was just like even before I got out of bed, like as soon as my eyes opened, I turned that on. So right away, I just woke up into motivation, and I played stuff on my TV all the way up until I left my house. And so I'm eating breakfast, showering, it's just blasting through my house. I'm just getting fired up. And I thought that was like super, super important at the time to just really get me in the right mindset. You know, through the growth, right? Because you grow, like your income grows because you grow. And that's one of the things that I don't think people realize. Like, if you act like a millionaire, you'll become one. You don't become a millionaire then act like it, right? You have to practice a lot of stuff ahead of time. It's really habits. It's what your habits are. So I believe I've grown a lot in the last 4 years to be able to do what I've done. And a big thing is protecting your time, being able to say no to people, and being comfortable in your own skin. And then being, when I say protecting your time, also like valuing your time and just being productive. So from the time I wake up, I'm on a mission to accomplish tasks. And I think that's really important, because I wasn't always like that. I feel like I spent a decade or two on the couch watching movies, just wasting my life. So now I'm just really precise in my time, and I don't waste it. I don't hang out with people that bring me down, right? And I'm constantly looking for people that are more successful than me, and trying to be around them. I met a guy with a Bugatti at a car show, or I saw a guy show up with a Bugatti at a car show. I didn't see who got out of the car, but I asked my girl, I was like, "Hey, do you know who got out of that car?" And she points to the person. I walked right up to him and introduced myself, got his phone number, like, say, if you ever want to go to dinner, I'll pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, I was just doing whatever I can to know what that to be sit at the table with that guy, right? He knows it was a $1.3 million car. I can't drive around a $1.3 million car. So I need to know what it is that he knows that he's able to do that. So just constantly. And then the mindset too, I used to be a big taker, right? When I meet people or I make deals with people, like, I'm always trying to like get more than I'm giving. And what I started doing is make sure I give more than I get. Right. I want to provide value. So if someone gives me a favor, like, I need to give a bigger favor back. Someone lets you borrow $20, you give them $30. Someone helps you move, you know what I mean? You make sure you're paying for it. Don't, just always trying to give more than you're getting. And I feel like if you practice that regularly, like, you actually end up receiving a lot more, and you'll have, people want to be around you, right? People aren't dumb, and especially successful people. No one wants to be around someone that just takes all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said that. That's so powerful, making sure that you give more than you get. And really, like, when you are in that state and you're practicing that, that's really living in a state of abundance, right? You're giving me this, and I want to just give you so much more here.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so important. I think that's one of the biggest things that I change. And it's just, I always like to say, just figure out how to be 1% better every single day. And, if that compounds over a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I mean, you're doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Curious, do you believe in law of attraction?
Of course.
Okay, good. Then we can have a good conversation about this, I think. So manifestation, right? A huge part of manifestation is the feelings, right? A lot of people like say, oh, vision board, just make this vision board, put the pictures of everything that you want, just stare at it, think happy thoughts, positive thoughts, right? No, doesn't work. Okay, affirmations. Just say these affirmations. I'm so happy now that I'm a millionaire, right? And your brain in the background is like, no, you're definitely not a millionaire. Right? So all of these things that people do to try and manifest the life of their dreams, I feel, or my experience with people has been, that's one of the big pieces that they're missing, is the feelings, like feeling the emotions. Because whatever it is that we want that thing because of the way we think it's going to make us feel. Right. So having 100K in, passive income coming in a month, I want that because I feel that, I want security. I want freedom. I want, so when you listen to your motivational stuff in the morning, when you started doing that, did that elicit certain feelings in you?
It definitely did. It made me feel a certain way, but it's funny you talk about that, because that's one of my pet peeves when people have these quote unquote vision board parties, and they're basically looking through magazines and like, oh yeah, I would like that, and they cut something out and they put it on a cardboard, and then they put the cardboard on the wall somewhere, right? And
I'm
I
gonna
was
get it.
yeah, but you didn't even know you wanted it until you open up the magazine, right? So it's obviously not exactly what you want, but
Right.
I always talk about people, and they have to really focus on, like, I would call it the destination.
Mm,
And it's like, what does their like future life look like? And dude, I spend so much time just like imagining
mm,
myself, like just sitting on a boat, going through the water, and I'm imagining what the boat looks like, and I'm imagining, and when I'm imagining it, like you said, I'm feeling it, like I'm feeling the air hit me, I'm feeling the water hit me, I'm feeling my wind blowing the hair. I spend time, I go find different pieces. I want to build a big house on the water, and I go to these different lots where they are, and I stand there and I look out in the water, and there's one lot I'm thinking about, and it was like almost like a 270-degree view of water in this house, and I'm thinking about like sitting in the pool, and I'm thinking about like everywhere I look, all I see is the water. There's no houses messing up my view, or there's nothing messing up my view. It's just water as far as I can do my peripherals. And I imagine those things, and I imagine like and feel like walking into my closet, and everything's just organized perfectly, and I got the shelves and stuff. So like I don't just like yes, I emotionally feel all the time, and even a lot of times when I'm driving and it's a long drive, and I start, I start getting emotional, and I start like really just imagining to, one, I think about like where I came from and stuff, but like I just imagine like where I'm going and what it's going to feel like. And I try to talk to my girl about the same thing, and just have her understand, like, we haven't done anything yet. We haven't even just getting started. And yeah, so I'm super emotional about that stuff. And I'm so like, blows my mind when people think they're going to cut out things in a magazine and put it on cardboard, and that's going to happen. And, when someone says, "Oh, I want a big house," I'm like, "All right, cool. So like, how big? Like, what color? What's the furniture going to look like? Where's it at? Like, how much does that house cost? What's going to be the monthly note?" Right? Like, get real intentional and real clear in detail on, like I said, I call it your destination. If you tell me you're going on vacation somewhere, I'm going to ask you where, and you're going to have an address,
right.
right? And because you have an address, like, you're going to get there.
Mhm.
And if you get a flat tire, you're not going to say, "Oh, it wasn't for me." And if your flight's delayed, you're not going to be like, "Oh, I guess I'll get there. I'm just not going now because I'll be late." Like, no, you're like, "This is my exact destination, and we're going to get there. We might be a little bit late, and something's happening, but we're going there." And
Right.
I think if people make their future an exact destination, that all the roadblocks, because you're going to hit roadblocks, they're not going to stop you. You're just going to, "Oh, wow, this didn't work out," or "This was harder than I thought," or "This week sucked." Right. But it's like, all right, cool. But that's where I got to go. That's my destination. I feel it. I'm emotional. I said I'm going there. And that's the end of it. It might just take me longer than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, getting specific, right? I want a big house. Well, how big? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I want a big house and I feel the feelings of a big house. Well, the universe, source, God, whatever is like, okay, well, to me, a big house could be 2,000 square feet. But to you, a big house is 200,000 square feet,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
So
sitting in the
like,
movie theater of it, the big house, like, you know what I mean? And I'm watching a movie on the movie theater, and I'm hearing the sound, and I'm hearing the bass
yes,
from my sound system, and my feet are up, and yeah, so it's super emotional and super intentional.
yeah. And I think the key too, or not, I think I know, is consistency with that, right?
That's a magic
Especially,
word there.
yeah, like when you're going through like the shit of it or the challenges, when you have the flat tire, when your plane is delayed, whatever, like instead of sitting in that like, oh, it's like, okay, no, let me like center myself and go back to, okay, this is why I'm doing this. Feel that and put yourself back on that path.
Yeah, I mean, consistency is like the biggest thing. I mean, you got to think about like the little kid trying to walk, right? The toddler, they're trying to walk. Like, they don't get up one time and say, "I guess walking's not for me,"
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and that's why everyone walks, because they're consistently trying over and over again until they figure it out. And even when they kind of figure it out and they pull down, they consistently keep trying. And
Mhm.
consistency is it's such like a rare commodity. I feel like when we become adults, right? I think I heard someone, I read it recently. It was like, everyone dies at 20. Most people die at 20 years old. They just don't get buried till they're 80.
Phew.
right? And like that is like so true. It's like all of a sudden, like we just become this like person of like all this fear and doubt, and we just don't want to try, and we can't be consistent. And but like, you know, when you're a kid and you want that candy bar and you're at the register at the grocery store and you ask for it until you get it.
Yeah,
And they'll say,
yeah.
"I have this candy," and this, nope, okay. You say, please, 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 right? Like that's the kid. And
Mhm.
you know, if you don't lose that, if somehow you can keep that, you know, you'll be, I feel like entrepreneurs are just big kids.
Yeah.
Successful entrepreneurs are just big kids.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so I haven't heard that like most people die when they're 20 and don't get buried till they're 80, which
Yeah, I
I mean,
just read it recently and it just hit me. It was the first time I was like, boom, yeah, it's boom. Right.
yeah. So, and I just learned this the other week too, that by age 35, I believe it was like 90 to 95% of our personalities, our programs, our processes, like are solid. Like that's us. So, like to change that isn't just a simple like, okay, today I'm going to wake up and just be this way. Like
Right.
it takes work. And think now, I mean, so I just turned 40. How old are you?
42.
Okay. So like the age that we are, so 35, right? I think is 35 now as compared to 35 20 years ago, like is so different, right? Like my mom had me when she was like 23. So when I was like a teenager at that point, it's like 35-year-olds now, I feel like are like 20, 20, 25. So to realize that and say, okay, I'm not happy with where I am in my life. I want more for myself. This is what I want for my future. I'm not going to be able to get this the way that I'm operating now. So these are the changes that I need to make. I need to look at myself and I need to do the work internally to get that, right? And that's where the consistency comes in. And that shit's hard. So having a mentor, right? So somebody is like, oh my God, like look at Dave Price. Like I want to be like that. And they're 40 years old. Chances are without somebody like you leading them, a mentor like you leading them, it's going to be really freaking hard for them to make those changes if they don't know how to do that. Right. So I think that's also a big piece. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
we talked about the emotions. Most
Yep.
people with their vision boards, like there's no emotion behind that. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, look at success. Success leaves clues. So this is what Dave does. He goes to the place where he wants to build a house and he is sitting in the pool looking at the water, like feeling all of it being there. And it's the consistency. So yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, I had these shirts made. These are the new TPG shirts. I realize we're all on Zoom, so there's no reason to wear collared shirts anymore. And the tagline is, it's all about a 1% mindset. And what I realize is to become a 1%er in America, I think with inflation now, it's probably close to $500,000 a year, right? So what that tells me is 99% of people don't have the mindset and the habits to do it. You know,
Mhm.
obviously there's some people that have no interest, but you know, we're just talking about the masses. So what that tells me is if you want to be a 1%er and you want to live a 1% life, everyone around you should think you're crazy. You shouldn't be doing the same thing the other 99% of people are doing, right? You
Right.
should be doing different things because that's why the 1%ers have different results.
Mhm.
And it just really made me think like, you know, most people, they want to be successful, but they're taking advice from unsuccessful people. They're taking advice from the 99 percenters, you know. So if you want to be a 1%er, you have to find a 1%er. You have to try to get one to mentor you, coach you, something. And if they give you some advice, like you want to take it. Because
Take
I
it
know
and
for
run.
me, when someone asks me for advice, they can ask me all the advice they want. But if they don't take it, they got to stop, right? You know, you get cut off. You know, like I had someone ask me a question today and they're like apologizing. I was like, no, right now, as of now, you have a free pass to ask me all the questions you want. As long as you're working and taking the advice, free pass. You know,
So make
you
your questions good.
you get cut off. I had another person message me on the weekend. They got hired like months ago and disappeared. And then he messaged me again, and I didn't answer. And then he gave me a question mark, and I told him, "You're not allowed to disappear for months and then message me on the weekend and expect an answer."
Yeah.
Right? As if you really want to talk, message me during business hours. And he apologized because he's like, "You're right," and he apologized. And Monday we got his problem solved. But if you're working on the weekends, you've been working all week. Yeah, I'm here to help everyone. So again, but that's protecting your mind, protecting your mindset, protecting your time, protecting your mindset and stuff like that. Not letting some guy that told you about all the big things he was going to do 6 months ago and then disappears, mess up your Sunday. It's
Right.
Your Sunday is worth more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I love that you do that. And I think that when people don't do that and don't protect their time or don't value their time, then they encounter insane burnout because they're always working.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're letting 99%ers drag them down. You got to align with the people that want the same goals and are willing to do the same thing and stay consistent enough to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love this whole conversation. It's great. So I want to go back to like the feelings and the emotions, because I think that if we could, or if you could, we could give our listeners like the specific like feelings and emotions that you feel now being where you are, right? Because somebody, let's say somebody that's in a place that you were years ago, they're like, okay, well, I would love to be there. And I don't even know what that would feel like. Like, what does that feel like? So what is like a typical, like, what are your emotions on like just a daily basis? What do you experience? What do you create for yourself?
Yeah, so man, that's such a good question. Super broad, right? I have a ton of emotions. So like, I'm always, like I said, I'm always imagining myself on where I'm going, and I spend a lot of time doing that. Especially like Sundays. I always call it like Sunday, like vision day,
Hmm.
and I'll spend time on Zillow. When I'll be laying in bed, my girl will be laying in bed and she'll be scrolling social media, which will drive me crazy, and I'm scrolling Zillow, right? I'm trying to find our future. It's like I'm looking for our future, right? And she's looking at other people's lives, and I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, their lives are boring. You know what I mean? Let's think about like where are we going?
That's
And
hilarious. Yeah.
so that's what I'm doing. It's like, so I'm always like looking for our future because you have to know it's out there, right?
Mhm.
Like sometimes I'll Google like most expensive house in Fort Myers, and then I'll
Mm.
find it, and then I'll go there, and then I'll know I'm in the right neighborhood, and then I'll look at these houses. I'm like, wow, what does that guy do? I didn't live like that, or like, wow, I got a great story for you. I was talking to one of my friends who's also insurance, who's been doing this longer than me, and makes a lot more money than me because he's been doing it longer than me. And he went on a trip where he rented a yacht for like a couple weeks, and he took his girl on it because he wanted to get himself to the next level, and he had to find a way. So he's like showing up to port in this like 150-foot yacht, and he's parking next to people with bigger yachts. And it's like, hey, how you doing? So now he's like rubbing shoulders, right, with people that just like live on yachts, and this trip cost him $300,000
Damn.
for two
Wow.
weeks. $300,000 to do this for 2 weeks, right? And he saved up for three years doing it, right? So it was he wanted to be a little bit of a stretch for him, but what he did is he entered the life of people that live like that. And what it did is show him like, wow, I'm not there yet. Wow, this is my future. This is what I'm working towards, right? Talk about emotional feeling, like that's the emotional feeling. And then again, searching for your future and seeing what else is out there and where you can go. And like that's his future, right? Where he's at next level. But for me, when I built the house that I'm in now, like I think it's the first time I've ever lived in a house. Ever since I've been an adult, I lived in apartments. I've never lived in, not even rented a house. So I definitely never owned a house. So I remember when I was building this house and I would just come in and before, when it was just concrete walls, and I would just like sit in it, and I would just be like so emotional. I'm like, man, this is awesome, and I would look at them building my pool, and I'm just imagining it and everything, and again, like, searching, like, your future's out there, if whatever future you want, but like you have to find it, you have to see it exist, you have to feel it, that you're already there, and then you need to put the consistent work in to get there. And so I do that daily, basically, right? Daily, I'm like thinking about where I'm going. Like I said, Sundays I spend a lot of time doing it, but like I live in the future, and that's what drives me. So when I wake up, like I have purpose because I got somewhere I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's super important because, you're going to hit roadblocks. Life's going to be hard, right? You're going to get discouraged. Like you're going to go through all these things, but like if your future is so clear and you know exactly where you're going, if I was like, hey, Danielle, I'm going to pay you $1 million salary, but you're going to be my employee, and this is exactly what you got to do. And at the end of that year, you're going to get paid a lump sum of $1 million. And I'm definitely going to pay you. It's so easy to do things I ask you to do because you emotionally know, like, dude, when I'm done this year, I'm getting $1 million cash. Right? There's no doubt, and the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, you doubt that. You don't believe your future. So you don't do those things. When realistically, like, you're usually cutting yourself short. Right. But like, that's the difference, right? Because the person knows, right? So like for me, I know that's my future. No one gave me the future guarantee like I just gave you, right? But I know it's my future. I'm giving myself the future guarantee. So I'm just going to consistently put the steps in to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're creating your future. And I love that you gave that example, like paying $1 million. Okay. Like this is already set for you, to where an entrepreneur, it's like, there's so much more unknown there. And you also have the tools to create your future by doing all of the things, that you just explained that you do. So, I think that a huge thing is, for me anyway, is trusting in the unknown. Right? That if I am doing those things to create my future, if I'm consistently going in and I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it and I'm expecting it and I'm following inspired action, that it's going to happen. So, yes, I need to trust in that, because as soon as I start doubting, then I'm going into a lack mindset, right? And then you attract that. So it's, again, comes back to like that consistency. And like when you see those things come up or that doubt come up, like, okay, nope. And being grateful for where you are is a huge part too. Right. And I've heard you say a few times throughout, our conversation, like, I'm so grateful for where I am. And I think about where I came from and where I am now.
Yeah, you have to definitely, gratitude is a huge thing. And like I said, I'll be driving some days and I just get like an emotional feeling, and it's just like, dude, I'm so lucky. You know what I mean? Or like, man, my life's great, or like I have so much happen, and like, and it's just like this emotional, like, it's like all of a sudden there's like no weight, like it's just, I'm just like floating through the world at the point, and I'm just like, man, this is awesome. And but that to me is like the feeling of gratitude, right? Because I mean, just simple things, right? I'm lucky I'm here at this point. Real simple. A lot of our friends didn't make it, and it's I'm really grateful just to be here, just to be living and breathing. And we have one life. We don't know when it's gonna end. Life's very fragile, right? I mean, it's weekly I'm hearing someone die or in the hospital or something like that, and it's just like, seize it, like take advantage, like see what you could do, see what you could accomplish, like stop being scared. Just make the best out of every single day that you can. And if you fail, get up tomorrow and just do it better the next day. And if you consistently do that over time, I mean, over 5 years, 10 years time, you could be in such a better position. It doesn't matter where you're at, because I've been digging myself out of holes for a long time. And, I just stayed consistent, and life got really good.
Yeah. And that's great advice. It just breaks it down to be really easy, like one day at a time. Like if you didn't do great today, okay, wake up tomorrow morning and try and do better.
Yeah, simple.
No big
Yeah,
deal.
greatness is small little things over a consistent period of time. It's not one big amazing thing, and that's one thing I definitely learned, and seeing people successful. Like it just takes some time. Like they can have some great moments, but for the most part, it's going to be small habits consistently over a long enough period of time to where it starts having a compound effect. I
Right.
know you're big with health and fitness and stuff like that. If I go to the gym once a month and I'm complaining to you that I'm not getting the results, like, what's wrong with you? Right. But
Right.
even if I just did 30 minutes 3 times a week, and ate right for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like those effects would compound,
Hmm.
if I consistently did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the key word really, like with all the things that we're talking about, is consistency.
The magic word.
Yeah.
So you want a
Yeah.
magic pill? Absolutely. It's called consistency.
Here
I
you go.
have a
I got a
magic
whole
pill.
bottle
It's
of
called consistency.
Oh, you need to consistently take it daily for it to
Yes.
work. That's
Yes, exactly.
great. I love it. I love it. So, do you have any like specific people that you look to for like their greatness, like their mentoring or and it can be anybody in person or people that you just follow on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm always trying to be around better people. Doug Blake's done a great job mentoring me. I mean, he keeps my head straight and gives me a lot of knowledge. The owner and vice president of Senior Life Insurance Company, definitely get to talk to them on a regular basis and always learning from them. A lot of my friends are business owners that I hang out with. So, one of my friends, he's a seven-figure earner in the mortgage industry. So
Nice.
we talk, at least weekly, sometimes daily. And I'm just always trying to put myself in a position to be around people that know something I don't know.
Yeah.
And when you do that, the conversation is so positive. Like I know people
Mhm.
say the word drama. Like I can't like even think about any drama that's been in my life for years, right? Because I
Exhausting.
don't hang out with people that do that. Like it's not like people say, "Oh, I try to avoid." Like I don't have to say I try to avoid drama. Just saying that I'm thinking about it. Like all my conversations with people are positive. Like negative things don't happen to me because I don't hang around with negative people. I hang out with people that have the same principles, right? They want to give more than they receive as well, and when everyone's trying to give more than you receive, it ends up being a really good situation for everyone.
Yeah.
The situation of abundance, like you said.
Hmm. Yeah. Love that. And so, like, just kind of like nutshelling our whole conversation, like the big takeaways that I'm getting is, and it's simple, right? I feel like, yes, things that you went through, they were hard and they were challenging and like mentally, emotionally, even physically. Like, I remember your stories getting bit by fire ants and you're allergic. I mean, you almost died at one of our events in where were we?
Fun
Where
time.
were we? Where?
Thomasville, Georgia.
Yes.
Thomasville,
Oh my.
Georgia.
Yeah, so, like, lots of discomfort you went through, like,
Yeah,
all different levels at all different
yeah.
stages,
Came
but
back
really, like
fighting. Did the next day
yeah,
better.
I know, showed up like, "Hey, okay, what's for dessert?" Um, just where do you wanna go? Be specific on where you wanna go. What does your future look like? Like, be clear, paint that picture, feel it, see it, consistently take the steps that you need to get there, like just holding on to that vision, holding on to that feeling. Surround yourself with people that are at a higher level than you. Give more than you receive. I mean, really, like what is it that is so hard about any of those things?
Yeah, we could have just made a video a lot shorter. That was the cliff notes right there. It
Guys,
was
just watch the last 4 minutes. You'll be good.
perfect.
But you miss all the meat in the sandwich.
That's it.
But no,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, again, it's I think a big thing that holds people back is their ego. And when people talk about ego, the first thing to think about is like, oh, I think I'm better than you. But to me, ego is when you think you know better, right? When you think that you already understand. and that you're not in a place where you could learn from other people. And when I got to a point in my life where I basically just surrendered, and I was just like, all right, I don't know. Even when I think I know, I don't know. And that's when I became really, really coachable. And that's when you dump out your glass and you get a chance to put new things in it, right? Because I realized I only had to change one thing in my life, and that was everything. And once I did that, everything else changed as well.
Yep.
It's amazing how it works. Change everything and everything changes. Who would have known?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like what I just went through last year. I changed everything in my life except for my animals in my car. Everything changed. One thing, everything. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, you're
So,
amazing.
oh, thank you. I love you.
Love you.
um, so let's wrap it up. And to wrap it up, I mean, I feel like we could still continue talking for a while and we'll have to do this again. But so if somebody is feeling you, feeling your energy, feeling where you are, like you're inspiring them, they want to be in your place, they want your greatness, how would one then get started with you?
You could go to my website, start there, tpglife.com. You can take a little bit what we do. From there, you can find my social media, my YouTube channels. You could also book an appointment with my team, schedule an interview, or just a discovery call. See if there's something that would fit you. You follow me on social media: Instagram, David Price Official; Facebook, David Price Official; TikTok, David Price Official; YouTube, David Price Official. And feel free to send me a message anytime. And even if you don't want to work with me and you have some questions or there's something that I could help you with, I'm typically available and willing to help and answer some questions. And just love to connect with some more people.
Awesome. But only Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
You can message me. I just don't get back to you. Don't get mad because I didn't get back to you. He was messaging me over and over again because he didn't get his answer within 2 minutes. So
Business hours. This is
yes.
business.
Message me anytime you want. Just don't get mad if you don't get an answer till Monday.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for doing this with me. I had fun with you. I always have fun talking with you, being in your energy. And I love, like, love how, I mean, like, yes, you're like uber successful, right? And that's amazing. But you as a person, and you've grown so much. I feel like you as a person, how do I even want to say this? Okay, tune into it, Daniel. You're like, yes, you're humble, but you're just so like laid back and chill and open, and just your energy is just like a breath of fresh air. Right. Whereas I feel like many people, no matter where they are in life, how successful or not, just are not like that. Like, you're just an amazing person all around. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate that. That's a huge compliment for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just a real person. I don't let it get to my head. Like I said, once the money flows, you stop focusing on that and you just kind of really start enjoying life and figuring out how to help people. You see a lot of successful people and they give back and they have courses and stuff like that, and you realize why they do it. They do it because they do want to see other people succeed, and I understand that now. When you see like, oh, they just want to make money, I'm sure they like to make some money too, but there's a lot of different ways they can do it, and I think people just that are successful generally want to see other people successful. They want to see them be able to do the same things that they're able to accomplish because they realize that they're just regular people too, and there's no reason why other regular people aren't doing the same thing, except for they're just not doing it.
Right.
And that's what I believe.
Yes. Well, and you're helping lots of people do that. So thank you. You are helping making the world a better place. For sure.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So yes, thank you so much. And yes, let's do this again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you.